Hello everyone, welcome into our latest live broadcast. It's the 19th of September 2025, it's Friday. My name is CareyHolzman and today we're reviewing a mini PC from Blackview. You know, we see a lot of the larger companies like Geekom, Minis Forum, Ace Magic. Geez, there's so many of them that taking a look at some of the lesser known name brands is always intriguing to me to see how innovative they are, or if they're just copying somebody else, just putting their name on something. And of course, if there's a better value to be had, because usually the smaller players have to work harder to earn your business, and that usually translates to better value. Is that the case today? Well, we're going to find out together as we take a look at this relatively small box here that contains pretty decent computer. Initially, I was under the impression it was a budget entry level, but no, this is far better than that. But the price tag on it is, well, I'll let you decide. We'll take a look at that today. In the meantime, welcome in everybody. Shout out and a thank you to our friend Buster and to Mark Gaines for your Amazon gift cards here prior to the show starting. Thank you guys so much, as always. We're getting some pretty heavy rains yesterday and today. I think our temperature is down around 66 degrees or something. It's for Phoenix. It's I can't even read it. It's in the 60s. I think it's 68 degrees Fahrenheit, which is really nice, by the way. We never get this in September. We usually have to wait till November or December. So I am happy for that. It'll be over 100 degrees in about 2 more days. So I'm enjoying this while it lasts. So we got the winds and clouds and the ground is all wet. We had thunder and lightning all last night and it was a nice change. We very rarely get that, maybe 5 days, 7 days a year. That's it. So when it arrives, I've been here long enough to know to appreciate it, cherish it, because it'll be a long time before it shows its face again. But today and tomorrow, and then after that, it'd probably go right back to being miserable and hot. So in any event, if it looks a little darker in here, it's probably because the light coming in from the window here is probably not as bright as it normally is, since we don't normally have clouds in the sky. It's definitely affecting our brightness, but that's okay. It doesn't affect this brightness. I tried using the brightness setting on the monitor and it didn't work. Couple of news items we'll get out of the way. Yes, there is a way to force the extended security updates on Windows 10. If you're not getting the offer to enroll in the extended security updates, there are several videos on YouTube now. If you just search for enroll in ESU missing, something along those lines, you'll probably find some videos that have a number of steps that you can take. It's not just a copy and paste, it's several copies and pastes and PowerShell and command line and back and forth. But it does work. I did test it the other day and, you know, provided the machine is eligible, which that's one of the first command lines you're going to run, is to determine if the machine's eligible. And assuming it's eligible, it's a pretty simple thing to turn on. It's simple in the sense that you just have to copy and paste a couple of things in a certain order, reboot, copy and paste, reboot again, and then one more copy and paste, and then you're good to go. There are situations where you don't have to go that far. There's sort of some people aren't getting the offer because of a particular setting, and other people aren't getting the offer because of a series of settings. So you start with the first one, the easy, quick one, and if that doesn't work for you, then you proceed on with the remainder. And as I mentioned, we will make a video on this, but there are videos out there now. If you don't want to wait for my version of it, you can search here on YouTube if you want to explore that. Now, saying hello to everybody here in the Twitch. Hope everybody's having a great Friday. It's Friday. Victor Torres says, hey, it's another mini PC. Carey's trying to tempt me into buying. Not really. Listen, I'm just here to show you what's available, man. If you want to buy it, buy it. And if you don't, I'm paid the same either way. But, and I know you're kidding, but I'm just saying there's a lot of content creators who don't tell you the whole truth. And there might be something in it for them to try and really enthusiastically sell you something. In fact, I use a service called Remote PC. So I've got Instant House Call, I've got Remote PC, and I've got the Nano KVM, the Jet KVM, and the Comet from GLINet for remote access. And when I first signed up for Remote PC, I think it was $79 a year or something. I thought, okay, I'll try it. I was very happy with it, but I only put it on 2 computers, my own and one of my clients, a special client. And it auto-renewed at $150. And I thought, well, for $150, I'll keep it. Then it auto-renewed again for $150. Remember, it's only on 2 computers. And I thought, well, yeah, I'll do it again. But since then, you know, all those remote IP KVMs have come out. And now it's up for renewal again, and it wants another $150. And I think with sales tax, I think it's like $174. So I said, you know, I've got Instant House Call. There's no reason for me to do something any different. And beyond, I've got the Jet KVM, the Nano KVM. I could just set up one of these KVMs and never pay another dime ever again. So I went to cancel my auto renewal, and it said, are you sure you want to cancel? And I said, yes. And they said, well, boy, we would hate for there to be an interruption in your service, so we'll offer you 50% off. So it went from $150 to $79 only because I chose to cancel. And, you know, there's that part of me that's like, that's a pretty good deal. I mean, then there's the other part of me that says, well, I don't need it anymore with all these IP KVMs. They're free. I mean, why not just use that? Furthermore, I can turn the computer on and off with it. So it's a lot more powerful. And besides, I've got Instant House Call. I don't really need anything else. So I said, no, I still want to cancel. But in the back of my mind, I thought, are they going to lower the price again? Because you never know. But no, they only lowered it the once. And then I told them again, I want to cancel. And they said, okay, at the end of your billing period, at the end of this contract, your service will not auto-renew and will no longer function, you know. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Whenever you're up for renewal on anything, I think the lesson to be learned is maybe cancel that auto renewal. Here's the way I see it. A lot of companies, they're bluffing. They want you to just, out of sight, out of mind, just let us auto charge your credit card so we don't have to bother your busy schedule over this little petty little charge so that, you know, you forget to do it and then the service you're counting on doesn't work anymore. And then you're going to be really upset. And we're going to prevent you from being upset by just reaching into your banking account and taking that money out and sticking it in our pockets so we don't have to bother you to open your wallet. And then you don't have to be inconvenienced when you forget and your service is shut down. But here's the thing. No one ever said you couldn't come back. So if I decided, you know what, I really want this remote PC and I've canceled it, all I have to do is renew it again. If I turn off auto billing, I still get the rest of the whatever I've paid for. So if I've got a service, any service that I pay for on a subscription, and that subscription auto renews, I can cancel that subscription anytime. That doesn't mean my service stops. My service is paid for until the end of the subscription, regardless if I cancel or not. So I don't have to stop using it. I'm not locked out. I'm not closing the account. I'm simply turning off auto renewal. So when auto renewal comes up and it doesn't get billed because I've turned it all off, I've canceled the auto subscription, I still have an account. It's just not active at that point. If I decide, you know what, turns out I really do want that back, I can go and pay the fee they were going to charge me anyway. It's not like they were giving me a discount at the $150. If I close the account altogether, here's the other thing. Same is true with credit cards. If you have something you're not using anymore, close the account down. And you do that for 2 reasons. One is you want to make sure that your privacy, any sort of liability that somebody hacking into that credit card or hacking into that service doesn't pretend to be you. So if you shut your account down, they can't do that, number one. Number two, if your account has been shut down for a certain period of time, and this can vary from one company to another, but with a credit card company, it's about a year. All of a sudden, you'll get these great offers in the mail offering you 0% interest that they did not offer you as a customer. They only offer it to potential customers. And to prevent customers from just leaving and coming back to get 0%, to get all those incentives, there's a period of time that has to pass to avoid that kind of abuse and scamming from the customers. So all you do is find another alternative credit card company with a 0% offer to bring you on. When that offer expires or it's getting close to expire, it may be time to go back to the original one and just switch every other year between the two and keep those introductory offers renewed through different companies. You think it would be cheaper for them to just keep you as a customer, you know what I mean? Like, versus all the marketing money and all the paperwork that has to be done to set up a new account. On the other hand, by getting these new accounts, you get all new credit card numbers. You're much less likely to get hacked because you've had a credit card for 10 years and sooner or later it's going to get out there, you know? So you're getting a new credit card company, a new bank. You close the account so you're no longer a customer. So the next time, after a certain period of time that you reapply, you're a new customer again. Same with remote PC. I'm sure it's the same. If I decide that I'm not going to use it anymore, but after my subscription period is ended, because I'm still using it until my subscription ends. After my subscription ends, I can go into remote PC and say, please close this account, delete the account, I don't want it anymore. Then after a period of time, which again, it could be a few months or it could be a year, it's usually not more than a year, should I want to come back again, I can totally do that. Or if I want to create a new account using a different email address, more often than not, that also offers incentives for the lower price for the first year. So in any event, just something to keep in mind. You know, money's tight, times are tough, and sometimes just hitting the cancel auto renewal, so you'll do it yourself. If you're not saying I'm turning off my service, you're just saying do not auto bill me. And you might be surprised at the discount offers that appear to try and change your mind. And if you don't do that, you pay full price. On the other hand, it's not guaranteed they're going to make any offer at all. They might just honor your request. It didn't cost you anything, and it won't cost you any more to manually renew it should you choose to continue that subscription another year. Or maybe you've got a lot more money than the rest of us and you don't want to be bothered and let them handle it. To each their own. There's Gregory Howard saying hello, Eddie Casanova joining us, Mark Baggett, David Graham, Andy W6AD, and Mortant, David Herzog, and Jonathan Fells say hello here in the chat. Scott joins us, Thomas MacT, Matthew Burden, and Gary Bickle all say hello. There's Dennis in the chat room joining us, along with Sean Skinner and Ken Schmidt, Marsman50, and Ben Laird. Ben joins us from Scotland, just like Buster. Mark Leibowitz, a computer repair shop owner in the Chicago area, says hello in the chat. Alvin Shaver and John Williams are saying hello. I see Caniac 44. Eric Turner, Lou Greeny, and Dustin Fuller are saying hello. Frederick Lovgren says hello from Sweden. Welcome into Frederick. Roteva says greetings from the Show Me State. That is Missouri. John Lewis says hello from Brazil. We got the world watching. No pressure, Carey. Sure, why not? Craig Casabona with a $2 super chat. Right on. Thank you, Craig. I think I said hello to everybody. I hope I didn't miss anyone. All right, so today, as I mentioned, we're going to look at this mini PC. And what's interesting and what's going on in the market right now is PC sales have just about fell through the floor, especially for consumers. We're seeing a lot more cell phone type use, television, people during prime time. About 80% of primetime viewers in the last, well, since the pandemic, aren't watching primetime TV anymore. So television ratings across the board are lower than they have been, boy, I don't know, in decades. And every month they're getting less and less. They're only going one direction. So you're going to see a lot of cancellation of TV shows. And I think we are witnessing the death of traditional television. People are using their phones, they're using social media, they're using Facebook and TikTok, YouTube, and they can send that right over to their TV. And that's what, well, I'm sure many of you were watching me on your TV. You're not watching terrestrial television, you're watching YouTube on your TV. And you are representing a very growing population. This is not something that's niche. This is something that's gaining popularity. Every day it's more popular than the day before. And what used to be popular, which was having the remote and flipping through the channels, that's pretty much on its way out. The people who still do that today are primarily older people that it just created a habit over a lifetime. You know, this is what I always do. But the younger people aren't doing it. A lot of the middle-aged people, they're kind of 3/4 online and maybe 1/4 of terrestrial television. And it's fading out, especially as the older generation eventually dies off. There aren't going to be those people anymore that had that habit. And it's, as far as I can tell, there's only going one direction. I don't see any way for this to ever reverse. And if there are television shows you enjoy watching and they're not on a paid streaming service like Apple TV or Paramount Plus or Amazon Prime or Netflix, there's a good chance that television show isn't going to be able to stay on unless it's a very inexpensive show to make, like a game show or a talk show. Those tend to be quite inexpensive, but it depends on what time of the day they're on. And as such, though, the world around us is changing. It's not temporary. It's not of any particular person's fault. It's the culture. Our whole culture is shifting. And when I say that, I'm talking about the bulk of it. Not everybody, but the vast majority of people are shifting their viewing habits, and they've been shifting it. And it's a growing movement every year. It is much more connected than it is just antenna or terrestrial TV. Cable television subscriptions, they're all starting to fade. So it's not going to happen overnight, but it's definitely fading. You know, there are still people that have landline telephones, and they're mostly going to be older people. When those older people perish, the demand for landlines will be, there's always going to be somebody who wants one, but it's going to be so unusual that when you see one, you'll be like, does that work? It's just bringing in awareness to the changes that are going on around us right now, and what to expect. You know, if everything continues, which I expect it will, and this makes you sad, well, it's going to get worse. On the other hand, if you're like good riddance to it, it couldn't happen soon enough. You got good things to look forward to. So that's for you to decide if that's good news or bad news. But the world, it's a changing. And we're all steering it together. We may not realize it, but all of us are starting to do very much a lot of the same things, which is how TV got popular to begin with. And now it's time for the next thing, I guess. So just an interesting observation. Okay, so today's mini PC. Let me show you the website for Blackview. Now we've demonstrated a Blackview mini PC before. And this is now, I believe, the second one we've ever looked at. And if we didn't like the first one, we would have never said yes to reviewing a second one. So you know that right out of the gate. When we're looking at a new company, if we think it's not going to be good, we'll just politely decline the offer. But you got to start somewhere. So we started with the first one they sent us. And overall, I really was pretty impressed with it and the price. And then after a while, they've reached out and asked us if we'd review a new model they've come out with. And given we had a great first experience, I said, yes, of course. So I'm telling you, I'm expecting this to be good. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it. It doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean my expectations are right. But hopefully, I am not giving time to a product that I wouldn't recommend. I wouldn't knowingly do that. I just wouldn't make the video if that's the case. All right. And you need to know that about pretty much every video I make. My intent is always that this is a product worthy of our attention. And then we just verify that live on camera. We're live and unscripted with no edits. So this package is sealed. I've never opened it. I don't know, I have no research on this other than what I'm about to do right now, which is to show you their website and see how they promote it so we can understand what to expect. So let me jump over here to my screen capture or window capture. Okay, this is the MP100 made by Blackview. And in our video notes, they've given us discount codes. All right, so that's all going to be in the video notes. We'll get to that later. And the links for the websites I'm showing you, both Blackview and on Amazon, if you prefer to buy it from Amazon, they're in our video description as well. Mara has made sure to include everything you guys need to do your own follow-up research or make a purchase and save some money, okay? So that's what it looks like. What is it? It's a Wi-Fi 6. It's a Ryzen 7 5825U. So that's going to be, Ryzen 7 is just a little above mid-range, but at the 5000 series, it's a couple years old. So it's going to be aggressively priced given that it's not a budget PC. It's not a Ryzen 3. It's not a Ryzen 5, but it's also not the latest and greatest Ryzen processor. That's $800 just for the CPU, like a 395AX or something, or AI. The point is, there's nothing wrong with this CPU, given that it's a couple of years old. It still runs really, really quickly, especially when you compare it to budget computers. Budget computers can still be a little anemic when it comes to whether or not they'll accept dual channel RAM, whether or not they'll have Gen 4 NVMe, whether or not how many cores or threads they have. And for a few dollars more, in this case, than a budget computer, you can actually get something that's right sort of in the upper end of mid-range. So let's take a look here. 8 cores, 16 threads, a 4.5 gig turbo frequency. And if we keep scrolling, it shows it can support 3 display outputs at the same time using one display port that will work at 4K at 144 hertz. The HDMI will support 4K at 60 hertz. And then there is a Type-C that supports 4K DisplayPort out at 60 hertz. So yeah, as far as a streamer goes, this is overkill for streaming Netflix. All these things here, the Disney and Hulu, Pluto and Sling, Prime Video, all of this could be done on a budget computer. So this is very easy for this computer to be a home theater PC. The Bluetooth is 5.2. I think the latest is 5.4, but it's still relatively recent, just like the latest Wi-Fi is 7. And then before that, 6E, and this has 6. So you're a couple generations behind, but most people have nothing 6E in their house. And if you do, you're probably buying much higher end equipment, and this wouldn't be ideal or aimed for you if you're one of those people who, again, does not represent the majority. The vast majority do not have or have deployed Wi-Fi 6E or 7, and most, even if they did deploy it, would see no benefit from it at this time. It's got Windows 11 Pro pre-installed. They talk about how important the cooling is for them. It's got a 1 terabyte M.2 SSD included and a 2.5-inch apparently SATA internal bay that you can use, although I generally recommend you stay away from adding more heat. If you want to use a 2.5-inch SATA drive, just get a USB adapter, keep it external, keep the heat out, and keep that data more secure by unplugging it when you don't need it. That way a virus or a power spike can't damage it, and then you lose everything because you foolishly, in my opinion, foolishly kept all your eggs in one basket. It might be more convenient for you, but it's also more convenient for the thieves. Just keep that in mind If you want to put all your valuables in one place, it sure does make it easy to rob you. And the thieves thank you for that. All right, versatile 12 powerful port. All right, so this talks about all the ports on the back. It's whisper quiet, they say. 32 gigs DDR4. There would be no benefit to DDR5 on a machine like this. It would just be wasting your money. Some people get carried away with numbers and they don't understand the practicality of those numbers and what difference they make in reality. You have to have a higher end system to benefit from DDR5. Otherwise, you're just spending money for no benefit. So this is to your benefit. It's got mounting bracket support, so I guess it includes a VESA mounting bracket. You can hang this thing behind your monitor and hide it. You can hang it under the desk, hang it on a wall. That's what the VESA bracket is for. It's optional, and I believe it's included. It's optional if you choose to use it. It's very portable. You can see here they're packing a portable monitor, and I assume a keyboard and a mouse, along with the power bricks. I think a laptop would be a lot easier, but you could totally do that if you want to. And it's got some RGB on there that they say is ambient, so hopefully it's not too bright or distracting. They say it's, yeah, I think it's 144 hertz. These are all the benefits. They're saying this is why you should choose them. And a little bit about the CPU. 7 nanometer process, 8 cores, 16 threads. Here's some comparison numbers from other AMD chips and Intel chips accordingly. And it does some gaming here. And they show Adobe Photoshop and Premiere, so you get some work done, get some gaming in. The RAM, I guess, 2666, which is, you know, it's perfect for what this is from my perspective. 32 gigs of RAM. It can hold a maximum of 64 gigs of RAM. A little bit about the internal storage capacities, along with the advertised read speeds here, which look to be pretty modest. We're looking at about Gen 3 speeds here. There's the exploded view of the machine. You can see how it has a place to put a mechanical or solid state SATA drive, which again, I do not recommend you do this. I also don't recommend you drink any poison, but people do that anyway. All I can do is advise you against it. It's got SODIMM laptop style memory here. There should be 2 sticks of 16 for a total of 32. That puts it in dual channel for better performance. That also means if you want to upgrade it to 64, you'd have to replace both of the 16s with 2 32s. A little bit about the heat sink that sits on top of the CPU and their cooling design. Now, they're saying this is flagship AMD Radeon graphics, and this was true years ago. It's not true today, but it's not a lie. It's just, it, at the time, was the flagship for AMD graphics. Let's see. A little more information here, some more games. You know, there's so many games, you can't test them all, but they're showing ones that work. Obviously, Warcraft is going to work. It's Dota 2. I mean, these aren't that intensive games to begin with, CSGO. But that being said, let's keep going here. More about streaming. You're not going to watch your television show any faster just because you have a faster computer. This is nothing work for a computer like this. A little bit about the photo editing performance, code editing performance, rendering like Blender, Photoshop, graphic design. They say it's ultra quiet. We'll figure that out, see for ourselves. A little bit about the airflow and cooling temperature and noise levels listed here. Again, we take a look at the close-up of the ports. We get 2 USB Type-Cs. These are 10 gig per second outputs. We have a 10 gig per second USB 3.2 Gen 2, that's blue port. We have a 3.5 millimeter standard audio jack for speakers, headphones, or headset. This little pinhole looks like it's a BIOS reset if I had to guess. course, the power button. This is a 1 gig LAN adapter combined with a USB 3 port and a USB 2 port, which the USB 2 port will be very slow, but it's ideal for a keyboard or mouse so that you save your high-speed blue ports for like flash drives or external drives, something that where speed is more important. Save the blue one for your printers and, well, for me, keyboard and mouse. Then you've got your regular display port and your regular HDMI port and a barrel style power jack. And they're just showing the 3 monitors all working together in different types of scenarios. A little bit about the Wi-Fi 6 and the Bluetooth 5.2. It is Windows 11 Pro. And it's going to take a fraction of the desk space compared to a traditional desktop, and sips the power compared to a regular desktop. But we already knew all that, right? A little bit about the RGB, some more examples of how you might use this. Well, they really flooded us with information here. Okay, they make it in gray or in blue. Not sure which color they sent us here. The graphics are built into the CPU, so it is an APU. Solid state drive does not indicate if it's Gen 3 or Gen 4, but I would assume it's going to be Gen 3 based on this age of CPU. And it's not a 2.5 gig LAN or a 5 or a 10. Once again, it wouldn't make any sense on a computer of this caliber to take it out of balance like that. Now, over at Amazon, we can see that they're pretty much offering the same thing with different configurations. They have an R5. They have an R7. R7 5825U. And an R7, must be the difference between the RAM, huh? 16 gigs on that one, 32 on that one. Same computer. It's got a coupon code. A couple of these do. This one has a $40 off coupon, but this is a Ryzen 5, is that right? And the one we're looking at today, I think we're looking at this one. Pretty sure. I have to get my glasses and read the box, but like I said, these videos are live and unscripted. So whenever they do this on Amazon, when the sellers put multiple products down here, sometimes they're completely different products, like that R5 versus an R7, and sometimes it's the same product with different amounts of RAM and storage, such as this R7 and that R7. You'll notice that box right here changes, and when it changes, you'll see that price goes down. That's $399. This one's $359. So they've sent us, just looking at the box, this is the Ryzen 5. This is the first one. The 7430U is what we're looking at today. And 16 gigs and 512, right? Yeah, this is our exact configuration. This is exactly where the link took us. Now, when you apply this $40 off coupon, that's going to bring that price down to like $279. And then I think there's an additional coupon, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't there like another 22% or something? Now, all of a sudden, you're getting pretty darn close to the entry-level budget PC prices that are hovering around $150, give or take $15 one way or the other. So for just a few more dollars, you have something far, far faster and far more upgradable, because those budget computers often only have one memory slot. They don't support multi-threading. They'll just have 2 cores, maybe 4 cores, that's it. And they're just extraordinarily limited. They're not going to be supporting Gen 4 and barely support Gen 3 at that, because they're bicycles with training wheels. They're not going to be fast. And that's fine if that's all you need. There's no insult intended in that. But if you want to take the next logical step up without spending a whole lot of money on a super high-end computer, there's giant middle area of mid-range that this falls under. It draws my interest because the price on it is so close to the budget price once you take your coupons. And what they say the warranty is 2 years, I think, isn't it on this? 3 years. 3-year warranty. And if you buy it from Amazon, you have that 30-day return policy, and you can have it tomorrow. If you're a Prime member, if you ordered this, you could have it tomorrow. Just click your mouse, it shows up at your front door. We're all living like rich people, I swear. In the 1980s, if you had stuff delivered to your door, well, I want to be your friend because we didn't grow up that way. So it's pretty nice then that if you don't like it, you can return it for free back to Amazon within 30 days and get a full refund. So if you're interested in this, don't let me tell you whether or not to buy it. Let me advise you to try out to see for yourself, to have your own experience and see if it meets or hopefully exceeds your expectations. And in either way, let us know if you decide to try one out and whether or not you decide to keep it or recommend it to others. With the Windows 10 support ending, it's just making less and less sense to stay on Windows 10. There's so much more going on the internet that average home users just don't comprehend the dangers. They don't get it. So their Windows 10 is going to continue to work even if they don't extend security updates. And maybe they get infected, maybe they don't. It's really hard to say. I don't know if your stuff is worth losing. If it is, have at it. But I think there's a level of ignorance they just don't know. It's a conspiracy theory designed to get you in whatever. I mean, maybe staying away from computers would be best because nobody else offers you this extension. Like Apple doesn't do this. They never have. You want to put iOS on an old iPhone, ain't going to happen. The latest one. Android, you could say it's a forced upgrade. Well, yeah, just like your car and everything else. When Windows 10 came out, I'm going to talk about Windows 10 for a second one more time. The day it came out, Microsoft said, we will support this until October 14th of 2025. They've never changed that from the day it came out. That was its scheduled end of life. And that was the extended end of life. That's 10 years. In a world of thieves that constantly get more clever and are using the latest and greatest technology to steal from you, to cause you harm, trying to defend yourself with which at this point is basically a sharp stick and a shield, where your enemies have upgraded to laser-guided missiles and drones, I don't think you're going to survive on the battlefield very long. You could be lucky. It's possible. If that's a risk you want to take, go for it. But anybody running a computer that old, unless you're very technically savvy and you're willing to accept the risk, why bother when you can get probably a computer that's faster than that 10-year-old computer for such a little price? And at the same time, you have a new warranty. The computer's going to be faster. It's going to be smaller. It's going to cost less money in electricity to run it. It's going to save you money and keep you better protected. So I can provide you the information, but you are responsible for your decisions. And if you make bad decisions, the only one it affects is you, and the only person's fault it is your own. Just so we're clear, it's not Microsoft's fault. It's not the computer maker's fault. It's your responsibility to accept accountability for the decisions you voluntarily choose to make. And if your decisions turn out to be bad ones, I hope you learn from that so that you will improve your decisions. Some people are reactive. They wait until something bad happens, and it usually happens at the worst possible time. And they have to cancel all their plans, potentially, to deal with a problem they weren't expecting. That becomes urgent. If a computer is a toy to you, then treat it as a toy. But if the computer is a tool for you, well, all I can tell you is you may appear to be inept to other people seeing you use old obsolete tools, when in fact, you could appear to be a genius to other people when they see you using modern tools. Now, when you're in business, this is an important thing of how people see you. As a personal home user, it doesn't really matter what anybody thinks. But I'm not going to go to a surgeon and have that surgeon operate on me if I see old, crusty surgical tools. Would you? But if you've got some old, crusty surgical tools in a drawer at your house and you're just using them for hobbies and projects, it's fine. That's enthusiast versus professional. And if you do things as much as you can to emulate the professionals, you're going to be in a much better position overall than doing things that you see people on YouTube doing. Because most of them, they don't have any actual real world experience or nothing recent. And most of the big channels haven't worked in the industry. If they ever have, it was 10 or 20 years ago, and the world's changed. The stuff didn't exist 20 years ago. So if you're working on stuff from 20 years ago, those channels are great. At least that's my opinion. And I'm not talking about all YouTube channels, just the ones where that shoe fits, and it's up to you as the viewer to value that information accordingly. Is this entertainment? Is this educational? Is this documentary, historical? Is it political? Is it clickbait? And right now, with the AI slop and all the clickbait going on, my default is it's probably clickbait. I saw a video the other day that was posted yesterday. This wasn't the other day, it was yesterday. It said posted 1 day ago. And this person was talking with confidence, with conviction about Windows 10 not extending support, or Microsoft not extending support, is ridiculous since 60% of the desktops in the marketplace are Windows 10. That's not true. Somebody went through the trouble to make a video to come across as though they knew what they were talking about, so their viewers believed them, and then provided them with outdated information. That used to be true a few months ago. But if he just made the video, why didn't he just go to Google and type in Windows 10 market share? Does anybody in the chat room want to do that and tell me what the worldwide market share of Windows 10 is right now? I'm going to give you a clue. It's about 43%. And it's dwindling every day. It's not 60%. It is not the majority. Windows 11 is the majority marketplace desktop operating system in use around the world. And all you have to do is use your keyboard. You don't have to believe me. And you certainly shouldn't believe that other person. And then they went on to provide more inaccurate information. And they're getting views. And their viewers are like, oh, thank you for this info. You're thanking them for lying to you. Did they lie out of ignorance, or did they do it with intent? I can't say. Maybe they had the best intention. Maybe they didn't. It's more important than ever that you protect yourself. And if you want to reduce that burden, then you either enable extended security updates on Windows 10 for another year, or just go ahead and get yourself a Windows 11 computer now, especially where the prices are so good. Who's to say these prices don't turn around and go back up? We'll see what happens with tariffs, but all that stuff hasn't been sorted out yet. It's up to you. But accept the consequences of your decisions, for better or for worse, and congratulate or blame yourself. Not YouTube, not a content creator. Make your decision. Your employer makes their decisions, whether you like it or not, and you're forced to do what to work with whatever equipment they have. It's not your choice. But when you're making choices at home, I'm just encouraging you to choose wisely. There's nothing in it for me if you do. There's nothing in it for me if you don't. Just want you guys to be happy and have a great experience. But if you set yourself up for failure, you should expect failure. All right, let me jump back over to the chat room, get off my soapbox here for a minute. I'll probably do that video, Windows 10, and forcing the enrollment option to appear if it's not appearing for you. Probably Sunday, I think. We'll see. I don't know it 100%. I'm basically going to be looking at somebody else's video and translating it in my way. But if you don't want to wait, you can watch those other people's videos. This is nothing I've invented. And they didn't invent it either, okay? Robert Kajina says hello. He says, Carey, I have this PC and it's great. Oh, wow, you're ahead of us. Right on. Mark Leibowitz said he has a Trig Key mini PC and their support can only be reached via email. Well, that is going to be true for most support these days. And there's a number of reasons for this, and there's a number of reasons that's what you should want. Number one, they may be located 12 hours away. So your 8 a.m. is their 8 p.m. It'd be very difficult to overlap their operational hours and your waking hours. Number two, you can often be sitting on hold for a long time. Nobody likes that. Number three, while you're in the middle of a call, you can be disconnected. Especially these calls that are spanning continents, it's more likely going to happen. Then you have to start all over again. Number four, sometimes people in other continents that speak with accents or dialects are difficult to understand. It doesn't mean they're dumb, or it doesn't mean that they don't know what they're talking about. They just speak in a different dialect. And as a result, you might be constantly asking them to repeat themselves. The bottom line is, if you send an email, you do so any time of the day at your convenience. You write out your problem with your keyboard and you explain what the problem is. Typically within 24 to 48 hours, you should get a response during the business week that won't have an accent and it won't have a drop call and it won't be he said or she said. You'll have a recording of what was said. So if they tell you something, they can't later say they didn't say that, or who did you speak to? All of those problems go away with email. What that means is you're not going to get instant satisfaction. If you want instant satisfaction, don't buy from the Asian manufacturers. Buy from Dell, buy from HP, buy from Lenovo. Pay that extra money. Somebody has to pay for that support. So you're not going to get that on one of these low-cost mini PCs. You're going to get support, but you're not going to get instant support. No one ever promised that. And for you to expect it, I'm just saying that's an unreasonable expectation, because for the price, how could they possibly afford that? And then for all the reasons I mentioned, why would you even want to? What a pain in the butt. It's so much easier to send an email. What I do for clients, there's two different ways you can conquer this. For folks like Mark Leibowitz and myself, we're in business, and our goal is to keep our customers happy. I don't want my customers calling the manufacturer. They call me. I'll call the manufacturer. However, my customers aren't calling me so I can call. That's not what the customers are doing. Customers are saying, we bought this whatever from you. We're having a problem with it and we're calling you to fix it. Now, if this thing has failed, there's nothing I can do to fix it. The answer is a simple one. Some companies offer an extended warranty with expedited service for an additional fee. Or, if I don't want to rely on anybody to risk my reputation in the industry, these are so inexpensive, I buy a spare one. So if I had a customer that buys 6 of these, I'll order 7. And I'm going to build it into the price that I'm not going to pay anything for that 7. And split amongst the other 6 computers, it doesn't alter the price that much for the customer. Maybe makes a difference of about $20 per PC, $30 per PC. And I'm going to put that up on my shelf. Cost me nothing. If the customer calls and they have a critical issue with the machine not starting, or whatever the issue is that can't be fixed, like with remote access, I'm simply going to plan on taking their unit, dropping off the new unit, hooking it all back up, and configuring it for them. That's what they pay me for. They get an instant response, so that way they can continue in business tomorrow uninterrupted. I'm going to take the old one back, and then behind the scenes, without the customer knowing, because who cares, I'm going to contact the company and arrange for an RMA. It doesn't matter to me if I have to send an email and wait a couple days. What do I care? what are the odds one of the other machines is going to fail in this period of time? Which, by the way, if it does, I can just go on Amazon and have a new one here tomorrow if need be. But typically, having one fail is pretty unusual. So if one does fail while in warranty, I'll arrange for the RMA behind the scenes. I'll fill out the forms, I'll send the unit in, they'll send me a replacement unit. They don't fix them, they just send you a new one. Guess where the new one's going? It's back as the spare again, and around the wheel goes. I shield all of my customers from that, and I don't need it solved today. Because I've got this all planned, I don't have to rely on a company's quickness. Sometimes they have holidays, their New Year's, like 2 weeks, they shut the factory down for 2 weeks, everything is closed down in China. Murphy's Law said that's when this is going to happen. What do I tell my customer? Customer doesn't care what's going on in China. We bought a computer from you, it doesn't work, come fix it. If you can't fix it or you can't give us the solution, we're going to call somewhere else. We have business. We can't stop and wait for you. We thought you were good. We thought you're taking care of us. So it's my responsibility, not Blackview, not the company's, for me to be prepared. Take care of my customer. Once the customer's taken care of, now it's between me and the company, and that's a private conversation. The customer doesn't need to know about it. That's what I get paid to do. Keep all that away from the customer so they don't have to deal with it. So for me, I prefer email. And I think you should too, especially these days. You really don't see much in the way of attitude when it comes to email, but sometimes you can get some attitude on the phone, let me tell you. All right, so just FYI, just set your expectations accordingly. So you guys talking about some of the benefits or downsides to certain configurations. Yeah, there's no one size fits all here. Paul Vercher joins us here in the chat, says hello, as does John Downey. Welcome in, guys. All right, are we ready for unboxing? Let's do this. Unboxing. Unboxing the Blackview MP100 mini PC. All right, that's everything in the box. Set that over here. We've got the mini PC, little instruction booklet here, an HDMI cable. This is a real short one. The reason they give that to you is if you wanted to mount the mini PC behind your monitor, you wouldn't want a 6-foot cable going out of the video back into the monitor that's 6 inches below. This is the VESA bracket that makes that happen, and the screws you would use to secure the mini PC and to secure the VESA bracket. And then finally, it's our power brick. I like that we have a separate laptop style power brick. It's not just a wall wart that hogs up a lot of ports. And it gives you much longer cable length because you've got the length of the power cable from the wall to the brick, and then from the brick you have another cable to go from the brick to the mini PC. Now, there's nothing on this that says Blackview, so you don't want to mix these things up in the future in a move or anything like that. Just because the barrel connector fits doesn't mean it's the right one, and it could destroy and let the smoke out if you use the wrong one. The higher end manufacturers typically include their name on here, but when they don't, it saves you money. But you can grab a silver Sharpie marker and write on this write Blackview on it, whatever, to identify it. Or if you have a label maker, you look a lot nicer than my handwriting and put a label that says Blackview or MP or Blackview MP100, depending on just how precise you want to be with your labels. We have clock radios, we have home personal assistant, all kinds of things use these barrel connectors, and they will fit. And if you plug the wrong one into the wrong thing, you will more than likely kill that other thing, and you may also kill the power adapter in the process. So I always watch for that when I'm unboxing a computer. It's something you don't want to ask yourself 2 years from now when you're moving it. Where did this go? Did this come from the lamp, or did this come from the mini PC? There's a research you're going to have to do to figure out what the voltages and polarities are. So best to just label it. There's our box. I'll leave the box right over here so we know what we're talking about today. Let's take a look at the mini PC itself. And it should look exactly like what we saw on the website. But let me bring it up to the camera. We'll look at it together. And I'll get my glasses so I can see. Well, it's definitely not the smallest. I'd say it's about average size, maybe just a little bit wider, a little bit taller than most. And interesting that we've got vents in the front. You don't normally see that. Normally all your vents are going to be here in the back only. I suppose they did that to allow for better airflow, but I'm not sure. That's a very unusual design. Now, if this were a bit shorter, not maybe about that tall, there'd be no room in here to put a 2.5-inch drive, which I would have been okay with, by the way. But regardless, this is what it is. There's your 2 USB Type-Cs, your Type A, your 3.5. I believe that is a CMOS reset, but I'm not sure. There's your power button. Nothing on this side, nothing on that side. Come around the back. It's a nice good look at your Ethernet port, another USB Type A, that's USB 3, the USB 2, great for keyboard and mouse. DisplayPort HDMI barrel power connector. On the bottom, you see this pull tab. This is so when you take out the screws, you can pull the bottom off. That's what that's there for. Notice the screws are not being covered up by the rubber feet. They just move the rubber feet inward, which has been a recommendation that we've given to many other mini PC manufacturers that, well, has fallen on deaf ears. But now they're starting to follow through with that. So you no longer have to remove any rubber feet to get into it. And we've got Go Faster stickers right up here on the front, along with what I suppose is going to be where our RGB is going to light up. So get a thumbnail shot, maybe. I feel like a complete clown, but we will put the unboxing part of this video on Amazon, and that'll be the thumbnail for Amazon. Let's give it its first power on, see what it goes, what the out-of-box experience looks like, what version of Windows 11 is on here. Is it 24H2? It's one way to know for sure. Oh, you know what? I don't need to use this power cable. I'll just use mine. Again, they're basically using a laptop power brick here. This is a cloverleaf style power connector. And I'll just move all that over here. We'll plug this in. What is the wattage on this bad boy? $19.9 volts, 3.42 amps. I can't tell if that's a 6 or an 8. $64.98 watts, so it's a 65 watt. That's very similar to the 1 liter PCs from HP and Lenovo and Dell. They're almost all 65 watt, just like this. And 19 volts, that's typically what a laptop runs off of, and a lot of mini PCs do as well, since laptop components are typically used in mini PCs. All right, so let me give this power. And let me give it an HDMI cable to our capture card. We're not going to plug the internet into it. We're not going to plug printers or flash drives. We want to make sure that the computer we received works. We want to make sure we can go through the out-of-box experience without interruption, without delays, to identify if there's any issues right out of the box. Otherwise, it's like you're spending time painting something. Like, I don't know, you're painting a model rocket and you go to launch it the first time and it blows up on the launch pad. Kind of a waste of paint. Maybe check it, make sure it flies first, and then you don't have to spend so much time and care putting all the decals in. Ask me how I know. All right, so HDMI right there. I need a keyboard and a mouse. Now, anytime I'm setting up a brand new computer I built myself, or I have purchased a brand new computer, whether it's a laptop, a mini, or even a desktop, this is exactly how I'm going to always turn them on the very first time until I get to trust them. They have to earn my trust. So those 3 things are all we have: power, HDMI, and our keyboard and mouse dongle there on USB 2. With that, I turn the unit on. You can see we've got some RGB happening right there. And let's jump over to camera 3, which should be this output, and see if we're getting a boot screen. Yes. Yes, it is booting. So here is our first out-of-box experience with minimal items attached to verify things are working. They probably are working fine, but just to be sure, we just don't know. And I am not a good gambler, so I don't want to hook up a bunch of stuff and then have a problem and then wonder, was it the stuff I hooked up that's causing the problem? Or was it the new machine I've never used before that's causing the problem? Because that can be a royal pain in the butt to try and diagnose it. This way is far easier. Might be a little slower, but in the long run, it'll be faster. So English, United Kingdom, no, I don't want United Kingdom English. Good day, sir. I don't see any option for English United States. This is all it's giving me? Wow. So we already have a configuration issue that we'll make Blackview aware of. If you're not aware, British English and American English can be very, very different. Even the layout of where the keys are on the keyboard. Like they would not, the British would not have a $sign. They would have a pound symbol, for example. British spells words with a lot of U's, like flavor and harbor and neighbor. In America, we don't put the letter U. We don't say we don't say aluminium. We don't add that extra I. In British language, they add an extra I. We as Americans, we say aluminum. We speak English, American English. The British speak British English. And, you know, even a spell check would say spelling tires, T-I-R-E-S, is misspelled because in the UK, they would spell it T-Y-R-E-S. This goes on and on and on and on and on. And so if you're using the wrong language, in this case, it's still English and I can get by, but it really should offer the United States. And I don't know why there's so many limits on the language choices. We should have had every language choice available and we don't. So the best I can do right now is choose UK English, unfortunately, even though we have an American plug. Okay, now it wants to know our region, and this affects default date and time settings, and also the European Union and privacy concerns that America doesn't share. So we're going to go down here to the letter U and find United States so that at least we get the right region anyway. Right there. Now, once we get Windows installed, oh, so here we go with the keyboard layout. Once again, the United States keyboard and the UK keyboard move some keys, or the keys have different meanings. Most of the keys are the same, but there's a few differences. So I want a United States keyboard, but I don't want a United States Dvorak keyboard, which would be, instead of QWERTY, you down the middle, instead of ASDF, you have DVORK. Anyway, Dvorak for right and left, United States. How about just US? Look at, there's so many different choices for United States. So we just want US, not US International, US. And if I wanted to add another layout for the keyboard in another language, that's always an option. Accept the license agreement, of course, as if I have a choice. And for the username, we'll just put in the word user with a blank password. And now it can begin the final setup and eventually get us to the desktop. Once we're on the desktop, we can start to run Windows updates, because there's always going to be missing Windows updates. And while we're waiting for the updates, we can take a look at who makes the network card, you know, who makes the Wi-Fi versus the local area network adapter. We can look at what version of Windows. Is it 23H2, 24H2? And we can do all that while we're waiting for Windows updates to download and install. We can also probably, once we're in Windows, go ahead and change that language setting to United States, English United States, which should be within Windows, even though it wasn't offered to us in the original out-of-box experience. It doesn't mean it's not there, which again doesn't make any sense to me why they would remove it. It's there by default unless it is manually removed. So why would they go through the effort and time and labor to remove that option and then turn around and sell it in the United States? So just be aware that it's not a showstopper, but it's definitely a correction the end user has to make. That is not industry standard. When you sell in the US, you should have a US keyboard and region option by default, or at least in the list somewhere. So probably just an oversight or a mistake. Not the end of the world, but it's just there to be aware of. Now down here, we have an interesting icon we don't normally see. This is also a feature that's been turned on that isn't normally there on a standard Windows 11 install, to switch the keyboard layout for some reason. Likely because we've got the UK selected on one side of things and the keyboard in the US on the other side, but we didn't have a choice. All right, let me just change the resolution of this a little bit. Let me right click, go to display settings and drop this to 1080 because we're in 4K, which is really hard for me to see. Now let's hit Windows Update. No, I can't do that yet because I haven't plugged my network cable in. So I'll grab my Ethernet cable, or you can connect it to Wi-Fi. We'll plug that in. And start settings, Windows Update. Now the date and time should set itself automatically. And it looks like it's already done that. Yeah. And if you want to know, like, how can I change my language options? Where do I find that? With Windows, you just ask Windows. Like, you don't have to Google. You typically, I'm telling you right off the top of my head, I don't know where it's at. I have an idea it's in settings and under region, but beyond that, I'm not that specific with where it's located. So while this is downloading these updates, let's just take a quick look at what version of Windows we have before we change it. And then I'll show you where to look for the language and how we'll find it. So there's our processor and installed RAM. Windows 11 Pro, this is a year old, so 23H2. As I mentioned, the CPU is a bit older. That's why the price is so aggressive. Doesn't mean it's bad or unwanted CPU. All of the contact information for support right here. Notice they're not giving you a phone number. Use the email. Give it 24 to 48 hours for a response. Remember, they're on the other side of the world. If you want something better than that, you spend for that. If you want to save money, well, you're going to get a unit that's probably been sitting on a shelf for a year. It's brand new. It's just been sitting. That's the only reason why they would have 23H2 on there, is they did that over a year ago. And because it's not selling, they're reducing the price. I'm speculating all this because this is the only thing that makes any sense to me. To encourage you to get a good deal and buy this closeout inventory, right? That's not current anymore. But part of that good deal means you're going to have to put 24H2 on this yourself, which means visiting Windows Update and doing it. And it's a big update. It could take an hour. I'm just saying, you only have to do it once. But other machines from bigger name manufacturers that cost more money will probably, more than likely, already have that done for you. Let's see what else. Get updates as soon as they're available. Yeah, let's do that. In fact, let's go to advanced options here. Turn on this and turn on this, turn on this. Okay, so far no optional updates. We're at 0. And okay, let's figure out where to change the language. I'll just type the word language. And you see here the suggestion comes up, language settings. Can I choose, see how it says English United States here, but here when it comes to text to speech or autocorrect spelling, it's going to be correcting my American English when there's nothing wrong with it necessarily, and suggest I spell everything in the British way. It just gets annoying, little things like that. So let's go to language options and let's see if we are offered the United States English package within Windows instead of at the sort of the opening the cover, you know, of starting Windows. And it's like opening the cover of a book on page 1. It wasn't there. But it doesn't mean it's not in the book. So that's what I'm checking. If we consider this as a book and the out-of-box experience is opening the cover on page 1, it's taking a minute. We are updating, I think it was updating over the network, language packs. I'm not sure. So we're okay with the keyboard. It's the language pack. Basic typing, handwriting, text-to-speech, speech recognition, enhanced speech recognition, but I don't see where to change. So it says English United Kingdom. Go to language and region. Let's just go back one. Language options. So we have the language pack. I'm just not sure where I go to pull the language out that I want from the pack. Maybe I have to extend this a little further to the right. There's sometimes more options. No. Sometimes you'll see options off to the right when the window's expanded, but I don't see that here. So I don't want to make any changes to the keyboard. That's fine. I want to change this right up here, and I'm not sure where to change that. I'm just kind of looking. So the regional format, that means like in America, we put the month and then the day, then the year. And other countries put the day and the month. So like the UK, for example, would change the regional format of the layout of the time and the date, for example, to that region that's common for that region. And you can always override it. Maybe you like military time. You know, you can do that too, regardless. Don't see, I see a down arrow here, but then nothing's appearing. Preferred language, add a language. Maybe that's what I need to do. And then we'll search for United. I don't see anything appearing here. Let's try English. Choose a language to install. And nothing. Okay, I see a bunch of different, I see Australian English, Belize English, Canadian English, Irish English, Jamaican English, man, Malaysian English, everything but American. We'll get into the S's and the T's. United Arab Emirates English, English United Kingdom shaded out, and English United States is shaded out. Huh. Well, here's my advice on this. Let me come back here for a second. I would recommend that if you were to order one of these, plan on reinstalling Windows yourself, because quite honestly, you can create a Windows 11 installation media for free. We've got videos that show you how to do it. It comes directly from Microsoft. It's 100% legal. And install it following the videos I've made showing you how to install. Just wipe this configuration out. Before you do that though, back up the drivers. Don't use a third-party utility like Driver Booster. For the love of all that's holy, it's 2025. Just run the DOS command, the command box, and back up your drivers. No third-party software is needed. Copy those drivers onto a flash drive. Then go ahead and wipe this computer and reinstall Windows with 24H2 and with the proper American English options as default, and have a standard install from that point forward. Or don't. Download 24H2 and wait for it to install. I mean, I'll be done, but you'll still be downloading 24H2. And then we can hit Google and ask it how to change the language setting. You can do it all by hand if you want to. And if there's anything else that's misconfigured to your country's normal configuration, then you can fix those one by one as you encounter them. Or just do this all at once. It's a lot faster and everything falls back to default. Just back up those drivers first. Don't spend any money for that. Don't install any third-party utility. Just use the DOS command, back them up, copy them off onto a flash drive, reinstall Windows, restore the drivers, get whatever remaining updates are there. You've got a normal install with no further potential surprises in the future like this has now. This is only what we've seen coming out of the gate. What about in a few weeks, or as we use it, may we notice some other things are a little different from the American way or from where you live in your way. So this way we can ensure that it's done correctly. If you're worried about spyware or viruses, this also has RGB software. So in order for you to get that RGB software, you're likely going to have to go to Blackview's website and download that manually. There's no way for you to back up the RGB software that I'm aware of. But the RGB works. It's just if you want to customize it, you need the software. Okay? And that's true with all these little mini PCs. The software is optional. If you don't care, you don't need it. It's not required. But if you are going to wipe it out, you will have to get the RGB software from Blackview. Okay, so with that, let's do a little Google search. Let's come over to my desktop. Hold on a second. Let me see in the chat room if you guys are yelling at me that, oh, all you have to do is changes. Eric Turner says the US language pack is already installed. Just remove the UK one. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to remove it. Let's jump back over there. Where am I? I'm over here. Okay, let's go over here. And again, we're still downloading updates anyway, so this gives us something to do. Let's see, turn on Windows Backup. No, thank you. And we go to the English language, we go to the language pack. Right here, it does show English US, but I don't even want to see English UK. More, this says it's for the keyboard. See, this is where it's a little confusing. This says it's the keyboard layout. And I'm interested here, not just on the keyboard layout, but here is what I'm trying to change. And I don't see any way to remove this. I don't see any uninstall. Even if I drop this box down, no options are coming up. And if I say remove, what happens? Let's try removing. Are you sure you want to remove English UK? Yes. Okay. Now what? Oh, now it says, well, this is back to the keyboard, English United States. So now what's my display language? Nothing. Still says the display language is English UK, even though I just deleted it. So we don't have to work this way anymore. If you were to open the browser, start without data, and we're going to type just in, I want to use Google, I don't want to use Bing. How to change display language. I don't even have finished typing it. It's such a common question. Open settings, time and language, language and region. Okay, so we'll open settings, one little thing at a time. Time and language, language and region. Okay. Under preferred languages, click add a language. Preferred languages, add a language. This all seems deja vu to me. And we're going to look for the letter E. We're in C's, D's, E, English. And we'll go down to the U's for United States. It's shaded out. So maybe it's shaded out because it's already installed, but I still don't see how to select it, how to choose it. Or it's shaded out because it's not installed, which again, somebody would have customized the installer to remove it. That's not by default. Like add a language, search for and select yours. So let's say English US is not, let's say it's grayed out. If English is grayed out, your system may have a corrupted or incompatible language pack. First, make sure it's set as the default, download any missing language features, and then sign out or restart. Oh, we might have to restart. Okay, so here's the point. You can see how involved this can be versus, you know, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that we did this, no problem, whatever. Let's not say it was difficult. Let's say it was easy. We still don't have 24H2 installed. So we're just moving from one problem into the next to get it associated with our region. So if we come back over here, we're going to end up restarting anyway. As soon as this big cumulative update is finished. And out of just curiosity, we'll see if that made any change, you know, by deleting the display language. We don't really have any display language set now. What will happen on a reboot? Because it's, I would imagine it's going to fill that in with something. So we'll find out here. Once that finishes, we'll reboot. But I'm going to recommend, we just really should back up the drivers, and I'll show you how we do that. I've shown it many times before. We're going to back up the drivers, just takes a minute, no third-party software. As for this RGB software, which if I minimize this, I'll show you, it's right here. We're going to have to download if we want to control the lighting, turn it off. You don't really get that many options here. Color cycling, breathing, where it fades in and out, rainbow colors, which is what the default, auto, turn it off. Maybe it's keeping you up at night, you don't like it.
and you can adjust the speed at which the lights are changing colors, and you can adjust the brightness. That's all the software does. It's optional. You don't need to have it. So if we wanted to reinstall, to do a clean install and reinstall the drivers, we've got that covered. It's just this RGB software. So we would go to Blackview. Here's how I would do it. I would do a search on Google, first of all. Go to Google. And I would type in Blackview MP100 RGB software download. And there's Blackview support right here. This is what you want to see. Manuals and downloads. If you did not download your drivers, if you didn't back them up, you can still get them. You're just doing it the hard way. And this says manuals and downloads. This is a user manual. Let's go to, be looking for drivers. This is FAQs. Hardware and software, maybe? No, it's not here. Say all. Got 3 pages of stuff, but this is just all FAQs so far as I can tell. The manuals and downloads only show a user manual. So I'm going to go back to my original search. Whoops. And check the next thing. Here's somebody on Reddit asking for drivers. Apparently they couldn't find them. The issue is the MP100 comes with Blackview's versions of Windows 11. Agreed. With all the drivers that are encapsulated within it. Yep, that's pretty standard. So somebody said, here's drivers for the Bluetooth. Okay, that's not what I'm looking for either. Where is the RGB software? Now, ideally, it'll be under Blackview support. It'll be provided by Blackview. But it just seems to take us into a circle here. They have support videos, FAQs. They're so close. They almost have it. All we're missing are the drivers and the RGB software. So, you know, again, this could be improved. Doesn't mean it's not there. They might have just moved it somewhere and not duplicated it to other places that other people might look. Or it may not be there at all. Manual. Yeah, well, this is a concern because it really should be here under support, especially a unit that's this old. I understand if it just came out and they haven't gotten around to it yet, but under manuals and downloads, there are no downloads. There are only manuals. There's nothing else here, unfortunately. That's a little heartbreaking, if I'm honest. They do have a live chat, and they do say that you can call them, but I would still use email. In fact, I'll have Mara reach out in email. This is not mission critical, end of the world stuff here. And try and identify if their drivers and RGB software are located somewhere that's more difficult to find, or if they don't exist, we'll bring it to their attention and request that they put that up there for their customers. And then we'll let you know what they say. So we're still downloading here. So my question now is, okay, about this RGB software. If I right click and go to properties, where is it? It's under program files, RGB LED. So this is going to be an installed application. It's nothing yet. We're just going to simply copy and paste. We have to install it. And we can look under the downloads folder just to see if they've left it behind, but it's completely empty. So they're not providing us with any drivers, and they're not providing us with the RGB software, unfortunately. So if we do wipe this install out, we will, like if we did it today, I won't be able to replace this RGB software until I hear from support. Some smaller companies are reactive. In other words, they have the software, but you have to ask for it. I don't agree with that. Just make it available so you don't have to ask. Make it buffet so that those of us who have enough technical knowledge to go and get it can go and get it. And those of us who don't can ask support to spoon feed it to them in an email. It should not be one way or the other. It should be both. That's just common courtesy. Besides which, why make your support department work harder and answer more emails to clients who could very easily help themselves if you just made it obvious, conspicuous that it was there. There it is. We found the support site for this, but no drivers and no RGB software. Furthermore, we don't have the English language on this install. The install's wrong. And it's a year old with 23H2. It's about to be 2 years old because 25H2 is about to come out in about 2 months. Maybe sometime in November would be my guess. That puts this 2 years behind on software. And if the whole point of this is say, hey, let's get rid of Windows 10, support is ending. Well, support is ending on 23H2 pretty soon. Let's do a quick Google search here. In fact, we'll do it over here so you guys can see it. Let's go back over to this desktop. When does support end for Windows 11 23H2? November 11th. All right, so a lot of people don't talk about this because it's not as clickbaity of a title. But there's nothing new here, but most people are completely oblivious to this information. When we talk about when Windows 10 support ends, we're talking about Windows 10 22H2. Not just any Windows 10. Windows 10 1809 support ended a long, long time ago. In much the same way, Windows 11 is 23H2. It's not 21, it's not 22. This one's 23. 22 and others previous 21, those are long since not been updated. If you don't change this to 24H2 by November 11th of 2025, you will stop getting updates until you put 24H2 on it. And by November 11th, that may be when they're planning to have 25H2 out, meaning that even 24H2 would be a year behind. So they're giving you 2 years. You could say, but I thought Windows 11 support didn't end. Only 24H2 is current. And currently 23H2 is reaching the end of updates. It won't stop working, you'll stop getting updates, just like Windows 10. And that's 3 weeks, nearly 4 weeks after support for Windows 10 ends, then this ends. And if you're running Microsoft Office 2016, we'll see EOL, end of life. The end of life for Office 2016 is the same day as the end of life for Windows 10. What about Office 2019? Office 2019 also on the exact same day will stop getting updates after October 14th of 2025. What about Office 2021? You're going to get 1 more year. Look, now you're good until October 13th, 2026. What about Office 2024? Well, now you're good till 2029. Your Office will continue to work. Word will still load. Excel will still load. But after October 14th, if you've got 2016 or 2019, on the same day as Windows 10, all of those updates stop coming in. So you're on your own. And we're not just talking about antivirus. You can still get antivirus updates. That doesn't protect you from exploits within the operating system and the software itself. So, many people use Office 2003 today and they don't have any problems. It just depends on the end user. This information is here to help you make a right decision for you, not to tell you what to do. You just don't see other YouTube channels talking about this because it's not so clickbaity. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist, because let's not look at it. Let's not talk about it. If we don't talk about it, it doesn't exist. That seems to be the world we're living in right now. It's almost a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy with the don't panic glasses. So if anything could cause you to panic if you see it, the glasses go black. Therefore, you cannot see the danger, and therefore, you won't panic. You gotta love British sarcasm. Because even though that was funny in the 1970s because it was true, it's still funny in 2025 because humans don't change their behavior that quickly. Evolution takes thousands of years. And most of us are exhibiting the same behaviors as our ancestors did from 2,000 years ago with regards to self-confidence, insecurities, imaginative fears, unrealistic imagination of anxiety for no apparent reason. And it's silly to suggest the cure for that is to simply look away. All right. Let me get back over here to camera one. Let's see if there's any comments or questions. Nick Capri with a €10 super chat says, hey, Carey, Mara, and chat, finally got a bit of time for me. Right on. Thank you, Nick. Good to see you. And Rick Lakes joins us. Always good to see our friend Rick Lakes. Frankie B says I should do a clean install. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out that RGB software. What I suspect will likely happen is we're going to email Blackview, and we're talking to a PR company. We're not talking tech support. And the PR company will reach out to the company and say, this reviewer wants this thing, and either they'll forward the message onto us or they'll reach out to us directly. They're not going to hold it like ransom or anything. It's not like they don't have it. And then we will strongly recommend that they make the drivers and the RGB software available on the support site, and even maybe throw a little question in there why it's not there. Not that it's any of our business, but it's the journalism part of me wants to dig. And hopefully it's just got overlooked somehow, some way. Somebody who's owned this. Nobody's ever owned this, ever asked for drivers. In the entire length of time this has been available for purchase, nobody's ever contacted tech support to look for drivers. Where you wouldn't have noticed those drivers aren't there? Seems highly unlikely. So why aren't they there? Why are you not providing them? And this is important information when you're considering spending your hard-earned money, that you may have to jump through hoops for something that should, they've got a site, they've got a place. They've got a shelf specifically for holding those items, but that shelf is empty. And it's not like you can ever run out. Okay, there was never anything on it. But we give them the benefit of the doubt, and we just assume they got a lot going on. Somebody made a mistake, we'll correct it. Any other answer than that, it's not going to get a recommendation from me. I'll tell you right now. So I cannot recommend this, nor can I not recommend it, because I don't have that information yet. It's not a problem that companies make mistakes. It happens all the time. I make mistakes. The question is, how do they respond? Do they respond with excuses? Do they take forever to give you a response? Or do they provide an answer right away that solves the problem and ensures you won't have that problem in the future? So depending on which one of those responses we get will ultimately determine, for me, if I would recommend avoid this or recommend purchasing it. But regardless, it's your decision to make. I just want to set your expectations. And right now, I don't know what to expect yet, because maybe they're not even aware of it. It seems like they would be, but let's assume they're not. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's see how they respond, how quickly they respond. And if they make it right for everybody that's a customer by putting those drivers and that RGB software in the downloads area of the support page where they should have been all along. And then they should also be thanking me, because they're not going to get those support requests every time somebody needs a driver RGB software. It's going to reduce the workload on them. Now, granted, some people will still need to be directed, but a lot of people right now who could help themselves, they're not being allowed to. And pretty much every manufacturer of mini PC, that is a standardized expectation to have drivers and any proprietary software. available to download unless the product is brand new and they haven't coded the website yet, because sometimes we get products to review here as prototypes or as early looks, or the product just came out like this week and they haven't gotten to the updating the website yet. And I don't agree with that. I think they should have updated the website before they released the product. But if it's in progress, it's not quite done yet, it's coming, it's fine. But this has been out way too long for this. Or maybe they have the drivers somewhere else and I just couldn't find them. But then why not have them in both places? If I do a simple Google search and it's taking me to the wrong place, that's not on me and that's not on Google. That means it's on them for not putting it in a more obvious and conspicuous, easier to find location. Don't make me jump through hoops. So we'll see what they say. Again, going through the chat here, I see I missed some super chats. Jason H88 with a $50 super chat. Right on. Thank you, Jason. Also renewed his membership. He is a member now for 40 months. Jason says a friend's daughter just built her first PC and had a problem getting the RGB and display on the case working. Because of the knowledge I have learned from your videos, I was able to help her finish it. Right on. It's always those extra add-on items that cost money that you don't need to have that are more than likely going to cause problems you never would have had. It's not the lawnmower that's the problem. It's the hubcaps on the lawnmower that were completely unnecessary that you spent money on that are now preventing the wheels from turning correctly. It's always these unnecessary, gaudy, flashy, expensive add-on items that are fully voluntary and optional that provide no security benefits. There is no performance benefit and there's no reliability benefit. It's just taking money from children. It's sort of like taking candy from a baby. I cringe at the amount of money people spend on this stuff. And then I cringe more when it's the thing causing them the grief. But I'm glad she's happy with it and, you know, let her enjoy her RGB. I'm so past it. If I want a lava lamp, I'll go buy a lava lamp and I'll put it on top of my computer. But I guess I'm just a grouchy old man. Now get off my lawn. But we're glad you got it working for her, and I'm glad she can enjoy her pretty colors. Nick Caffrey, thank you, and Craig Casabona, thank you as well for your super chats. Get me started on RGB. See, even on this, what's the problem? I can back up the drivers all by myself. I don't need Blackview to provide drivers. Be nice if they did, but I can't provide the RGB. They have to provide that to me. And the RGB costs a bit of money, and it's completely unnecessary. It's just gaudy. And now it's become a problem that's going to result in a support call. If this did not have RGB, there'd be no support. We wouldn't have to ask for any help. We wouldn't have to consume their resources over some nonsense. And if they would have put the drivers where they should have been, or where they should be, because as far as I can tell, they don't exist anywhere. Another reason I wouldn't have to contact support, I could self-serve. But the RGB is more times than not a problem. And if it's not, it will be. So if you can avoid it, I'd strongly recommend you avoid RGB on any computer. But that's just me. You know, even laptops, they have proprietary software. And you have to go to the manufacturer to get that. If the manufacturer's site is down, you got to wait. If you didn't have the RGB, we'd already be done. I wouldn't even worry about it. We just reinstall Windows 11 for free. It'll have 24H2 on it. It'll have the English language on it and the United States English. And I don't have to worry about RGB software. I don't have to reach out to support. This whole thing's done. But that's just the way I see it. You don't have to agree. Peter with a €1 super chat. Thank you, Peter, joining us from the Netherlands. Jason H says, yeah, I'm not a fan of RGB and all that bling myself. Just give me a plain, black, nice-looking case with no windows. What's under the hood is my secret. Agreed. Absolutely agree. mostly because it's just ridiculous to get the support calls that my RGB color isn't working, my LED isn't working. Really? That's what you're calling me for? Okay, hold on. I have another client on the line whose server went down. They got ransomware and they're about to lose 700 employees and close the business. Would you mind if I called you back in a few minutes? It's like going to the hospital in the emergency room because you have a splinter and there's a guy, you know, bleeding out all over the floor. We'll be with you. Just have a seat. Might be a few hours. We have people dying over here, but you know, triage this appropriately. And triaging RGB problems to me is that splinter. Oh, jeez. All right. Jose Lopez with another year, this time $1 in Super Chat. Thanks, Jose. David Graham said, I just need my keyboard to light up. Yeah, so if you have RGB on your keyboard, that's completely disassociated from your computer. Quite often you can control the backlighting and the brightness right on the keyboard itself, and all that's built within the circuitry of the keyboard. The downside of it is, if you spill anything on that keyboard, because of the higher power going through for those lights, a regular keyboard could probably be rinsed and dried off and be fine, but an RGB keyboard, you're probably going to kill it. So do be careful with liquids around it. They do sell waterproof membranes and waterproof keyboards, I believe, that are RGB, or just don't spill anything on it. And if you do, know that you probably killed it because it's RGB. And if it wasn't RGB, it probably would have survived. Well, the odds of it surviving would be far greater. So there's a cost to this RGB. And that includes even just a backlit keyboard. Even a backlit keyboard, which can help you see the keys, has all this extra power running through it. So the minute you spill something on it, the likelihood of that keyboard surviving is far less than if it was just a plain old keyboard, which is very simple. You can often put plain old keyboards in that are not in any way designed to go in a dishwasher. You can often put them in a dishwasher. And 80% of the time, they're nice and clean and work like new. 20% of the time, they're toast and you throw them in the garbage or recycle bin, as the case may be. But if you have a keyboard that has batteries in it, like a wireless keyboard, or you have a keyboard that has lights, whether those are just backlights or RGB lights, and you put it in a dishwasher and it's not designed for that, 80% of the time it'll fail. It's the exact opposite. 20% of the time they'll still work. All right, let's get back over here. Yeah, it's waiting on me to reboot. So let's go ahead and restart it. We're going to check that language one more time when it reboots. And then we'll back up the drivers. And we're going to do a clean install of Windows 11. And to heck with this RGB software. We'll reach out to them for that later. It's not critical. I'm not a fan of the customization they did on this Windows 11. I don't even think it came up with the privacy settings, did it? Like location and all that stuff. I think we went right, it just skipped right over that. It's a very strange customization. Makes me uneasy because I don't know what else they changed. Was it just that? There's probably some other stuff we haven't discovered yet. So by reinstalling it with a familiar, legal, up-to-date version of Windows, it's not only faster, but I definitely won't have any surprises. With this, there's still maybe. So do I want maybe or do I want definitely? Definitely no surprises, maybe some surprise. I'm going to take definitely so I can drop it off to the customer and I don't get the support calls. If Blackview wants support calls, let them have them. Generally speaking, the rule of thumb is we don't want support calls. We have to deal with it, but we don't necessarily want to. So it's backwards. What they're doing is the opposite of one might expect in the industry is, why would you want more support calls? We enjoy that. We enjoy the cost. We enjoy having upset customers that we have to calm down. Most people don't. Maybe they do. Eric Turner mentions Malwarebytes. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to run Malwarebytes. I don't see anything concerning, but sometimes the RGB software can trigger an alert. We've seen that with other manufacturers where they're like Ace Magic, where the RGB software isn't really a threat, but there's something about it that triggers a concern. And the best way to deal with it isn't to just tell people to ignore it. It's to fix whatever's triggering that and release an update, which is what Ace Magic did. But it doesn't, when you get an infection, sometimes it's just potentially unwanted software, which is not harmful, it's just annoying. Other times it's a virus, which is potentially harmful. Other times it's ransomware, rootkits, any sort of malicious software. And what people do overall is they get a warning from their antivirus and they freak out that they think anything the antivirus finds is dangerous. No. Most of what antivirus finds for most people are just potentially unwanted programs or pups. They're just annoying, but they're not harmful. So it's important you read the results to understand if there is an actual threat. Regardless, I mean, it's a general rule. People don't want annoyances any more than they want viruses, but it's a much different level of panic in how you respond to the information. All right, we're still updating here. Almost done. I just want to check that language, you know, since I removed, whoops, let's go back over here. Since I removed the British language setting, it's not offering me any language setting. It doesn't even say anything anymore. So I know there's a way to put it back, but maybe it just needed a reboot first and it puts itself back, or I don't know, and I don't really care because in the amount of time I look it up and try things, I can already have this installed. But I can at least take a quick look. We're rebooting anyway. So things like the control panel and this PC, these are not ordinary desktop icons. These should not be on the desktop of a clean Windows 11 install. This is a modification made by the manufacturer, which is not welcome as far as I'm concerned. I don't want to see modifications to the operating system because you're right. Maybe there's a virus on here. If they did that, maybe, you know, maybe they didn't even know they put a virus on here. So to satisfy that curiosity now, because of this, I am concerned. We can download Malwarebytes for free. In just a moment, we'll see that. There it goes. And let's do an install. Now, Malwarebytes does, by default, a quick scan. But a thorough scan to check every single file on the storage media could take an hour and a half. So usually when you're watching reviewers do this Malwarebytes scan, if you look at the results, they usually show you a screenshot of the results of Malwarebytes. It'll say the runtime is like 2 minutes. Okay, well, if that runtime is not at least an hour or more, they did a quick scan. So there's a difference between tracking what malware or potentially unwanted program or virus is running versus what's sitting dormant on the hard drive, which again was the issue with Ace Magic. They had a dormant virus. It wasn't really a virus. It was malware, spyware. Not a virus, not ransomware. And it was dormant. It wasn't running. But it was still on there, and that's what everybody was freaking out about, as though it was a real threat attacking them in this very instant, when it wasn't, unless you manually clicked on it and activated it. But it still didn't belong on there. I'm not saying it's okay that they did it, but there's a big difference. All threats are not the same. So for the sake of moving through this quickly, we'll click maybe later, continue with the free trial, and we'll run, see, here's a full scan. Usually it does a quick scan, but maybe they're changing this. So Malwarebytes gets updates to the latest threat recognitions that came out. They come out thousands of times a day, by the way, new threats. Nothing running in memory, and nothing running at startup to be concerned about. So the rest is just scanning the hard drive, and this was a quick scan, not a full scan. Even though it said full scan, that was not a full scan. And now they want to sell us something, because even Malwarebytes has to be spyware in that sense. They've got to keep trying to advertise to us because they're not a charity. So I'm just going to close it. Let's go back over here. I don't want it to do this. I guess I have to go through it. Skip this. Skip it again. Maybe later. That's what you get for free. But if you go to scan and you go to advanced scan, custom scan, scan for rootkits on the C drive, this custom scan will likely take over an hour. And if there's anything dormant, that could be malware, potentially unwanted, spyware, virus, whatever, then it'll find it. But it's not really a threat because it's sitting there unactivated. But again, that doesn't make it okay, but it also doesn't make it anything to freak out about either. So I'm not going to run that. I'm going to just hit cancel here. I'm sure this is clean. I don't see any reason to be concerned. But I'm going to grab my, let's jump over to camera 1. And I'm going to grab my utilities flash drive, and we're going to plug that in here. And then we'll jump back over here. And on my utilities flash drive, I have a little text file. Hey, this could be a fun little tool for Dennis to make for us, a little driver backup tool, Dennis, that effectively just runs this command. We go to the D drive, and we look under driver backup. I just have a notepad file that tells me the steps, but I bet you Dennis could crank out a little utility for us. And this step number 1, create the backup folder and export drivers. This is the command right here, Dennis.
Hey, just a heads up, Dennis is doing that right now. That's what I've been working with him on right at this moment.
Oh, he's ahead of us.
And he's already made the tool, but we're having a little bit of difficulty. So
okay.
As soon as we get done with that, then I'll let you know.
Right on.
It's just a little console.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully we're going to have a whole little suite of utility.
In the next 5 minutes?
Yeah, but we got to test it though. But still, this is just making the directory called drivers on our C drive and then exporting those drivers. And we're going to use command prompt. We do not use PowerShell. We use command prompt. We type CMD, and we're going to run that as an administrator right here. And then we click yes. And here at the prompt, I hit Control V for paste. I know you're like, V for paste? Yeah, because it's next to the letter C for copy. So that way your finger doesn't have to travel to the opposite end of the keyboard. Enter. And now all those drivers are being backed up into a folder called drivers that's made for us automatically. Now there is a DOS command here, what I'm calling DOS, a command prompt command to restore the drivers, but I don't restore drivers that way. And that's explained in this document. But regardless, all I need to do at this point is go to that C folder under drivers, right click, just to show you the driver size is usually around 2 gigs. This is 1.5 gigs. That's pretty normal. Right click, copy, and put it somewhere else. So I'm going to just put it right here on this flash drive. As good as any place for now. You can even put it on your Windows 11 installer. It won't hurt anything. And it also won't do anything unless you actually go to use it, which we can do after our reinstall, and I'll show you how. And I've shown this multiple times before. But I realize I make a lot of content and people can't keep up. But I want you to be aware. We've shown this at least a half dozen times already. This is nothing new that I'm showing you. So for many of you that watch a lot more of my content than others, I appreciate your patience, as most of our viewers are probably seeing this for the very first time. And I don't like this wallpaper. It's driving me crazy. Just give me the Windows 11 theme. Also, I guess it doesn't matter because we're about to wipe this whole thing out anyway. So what I'm going to do now, we've got our drivers backed up. We don't have to safely disconnect this. Just take this out. This is my utilities flash drive. This is my Windows 11 flash drive. Plug Windows 11 in. This is a fast flash drive. Ideally, you want to use an 8 gig flash drive or a 16 gig. You can go bigger, but some older computers have trouble booting from them. And at the time when I bought these SanDisks, these were 16 gigs and they were 4 times the cost of a regular 16 gig flash drive. 3 to 4 times more expensive because they're about 10 to 15 times faster in how fast they can read and write. These are similar in speed to an internal solid state drive. SATA. All right, so let me restart this and boot from that. Let's figure out. This is a little warm, but it's quiet. It's definitely warm to the touch. But that may have something to do with the LEDs up here. But it's been very quiet this whole time, which is a good thing. We haven't looked at any temps yet, and we're probably not going to have time today to get into that. But we can at least reinstall Windows in the drivers. We can reach back out to support to acquire the RGB software. And at that point, you know, Crystal Disk Mark testing, it's probably Gen 3. In fact, they gave the numbers of around 3,600 on the reads, 3,000 on the writes, which I think is what they said on the website. I'm sure it's probably the same. I'd like to verify it. We're just not going to have enough time today. So let me jump back over here. And let's see if I can just guess how to get into the BIOS here. We'll just do a shutdown and a restart. And as it's restarting, I'll start hitting the delete key. As soon as the word restarting goes away, right now, just press on delete, tap, 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 over and over. Okay, I saw the Blackview. There we go. We're in the BIOS now. I don't see anything special in here. It's all pretty standard boilerplate, average, ordinary, everyday BIOS. And under save and exit, boot override, we're going to override our boot to force it on the SanDisk Extreme Partition 1. That's my Windows 11 installer. And it's only going to boot this one time. This is a temporary one-time boot override. After that, it'll go back and boot from the internal drive, so I don't have to keep going into the BIOS and making changes. Because I only want it to boot from the flash drive once to start Windows 11 setup. After that, the setup continues after any further reboots off of the internal drive, unless I've permanently changed the boot order, in which case it's just going to keep repeating the setup over and over again until I change it. But why work harder than I have to is all I'm saying. So now as it reboots, we should boot from the flash drive. The Elgato no signal is our capture card saying there's no video output yet. So we'll patiently wait here for a few seconds as the system hopefully honors our request. If for some reason it just kind of sits here like this indefinitely, we need to move the USB flash drive into a different USB port. I've seen this occur. I've also seen it occur where you just have to be patient for some reason. I've seen this where there's a long delay on some systems. It's pretty unusual, but it does happen. And if you just give it enough time, it will eventually, in some cases, start the boot process. And I wish I could tell you why. I really don't know why some systems behave that way. Most of the time, for me, if it's taking this long, generally speaking, I don't have the patience. So there are certain times where, like, there's no harm in me just letting this run. If I wasn't on camera right now, Mara and I could run some errands, we could go have lunch, whatever. It'll wait for me. But if I come back and it still hasn't moved, it's never going to. But when I'm live or if I'm with a customer, I'm not going to sit here and wait for this until it decides. So I'm going to look at it one more time here. We've made no progress. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug power, which forces that off. I'm going to move this to a completely different USB port. We'll come around over here, plug it back in, turn it back on. We're going to go back in the BIOS, and we're going to request it to once again boot override. So we're going to come back to this unit, start pressing, oh, see, I missed it. I was talking too much, and I missed the delete key opportunity to get into the BIOS. So we're going to boot back into Windows here. So we'll do this one more time. Restart. Delete, 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 over and over and over. Right there, that finally accepted the delete key, and it should take us into the BIOS now. Yeah, this is a bit concerning because now it's not even getting us in the BIOS. At least before we got in the BIOS, right? So there's one other workaround. I'm going to unplug it, plug it back in from power, turn the unit back on, and let it boot into Windows normally. And we're going to choose recovery mode. And we're going to tell it in recovery mode to automatically start to the flash drive. So we'll give this a second and let it boot to Windows normally.
Initial driver backup up there for you.
Yeah, we'll look at it after the show. Thank you. With Windows, there's often multiple ways to accomplish the same task. And so depending on how you want to proceed as an individual, if you just want to give up and walk away and say it's broken, or you want to try alternative means and methods, because we really just have to do this once, and it doesn't matter to me which way it executes. Whatever way works is fine with me, and I can overlook anything that's not working as unimportant if it doesn't matter anymore. In other words, if I'm able to get Windows 11 reinstalled, I'm done. Like, I don't care if whatever reason it's not booting the other way. So we're going to go to recovery. We're going to go to restart now for advanced startup here. And that's going to start us up with a recovery menu. And in that recovery menu, there'll be the option to either boot into the BIOS or to boot to a flash drive. And again, this is something I've shown dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of times. And so for many of you, you already know what this looks like. But for many of you, you've never seen this before. And it's a little bit more, you know, involves 8 or 9 clicks versus just pressing the delete key. So it's because of my impatience, I don't tend to jump to this level, but also because of my impatience, I will jump to this level if it's the next fastest thing on my list of diagnostic. So we're going to use a device. That's the thing. Use a device, and it sees the flash drive. That's what we want, is partition 1. And now hands off, just let the machine boot on its own, and let's see if it starts to our Windows 11 installation media all by itself now. It accomplishes the same thing as going into the BIOS. And as you can see, no problems at all. Worked perfectly. So look, just don't fight it. Change your direction. Go with the flow. Don't insist on brute force. Bend like a reed in the wind, and you will get there faster. So next, US. Install Windows 11, and I agree to everything. Next. And when you can take the pebble from my hand, grasshopper. I've never seen this before. Your use of the software is subject to terms and conditions, license agreement by which you acquired this software. I wonder why I'm seeing this, and I've never seen this before. It's the same media I've used dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of times. Something in the BIOS is triggering this. Let's hit accept. We're going to delete every partition on disk 0. We're going to wipe out everything Blackview did. So give that a second. There it goes. Go to the next disk 0 option. Delete that one. Give that a second. And we are wiping everything out permanently. There's no recovery from this unless you made a backup, which we're not doing. Every disk 0. Delete every single one of them until there's only one left. Disk 0, unallocated space, total capacity 500 gigs. That's us. That is the way this NVMe drive came out of the package from the factory it was purchased from, without any partition, without any format, without any data. Now we're doing a clean Windows 11 install as though we built it ourselves from scratch, and we follow all the same steps, no differently than any other computer, laptop, desktop, mini PC, irrelevant. This is a summary of what we're about to do. Yep, hit install. And I want to remind you that when you're installing Windows 10 or 11, you should always do so with the internet cable unplugged. I damn near forgot again, because if you leave this plugged in, it's going to go online, it's going to start downloading drivers and updates, and your install is going to take forever. And then if it crashes because one of the driver updates or installs is incompatible for some weird reason, you're going to start all over again. And then you'll kick yourself in the butt and go, I should have listened to Carey and unplugged my Ethernet cable. Once we get Windows set up through the out-of-box experience, I type the username of user with no password, and I set the privacy options, the language, and the region, and it gets us to the desktop. The desktop will not have the control panel or the My PC icon on it. That's not how a default Windows install from Microsoft looks. At that point, if everything still looks good, then that's normal, which is what I'm expecting. Then I'll plug it back into the internet. Then I go to Windows Update. And then we'll be updating from Windows 24H2, not from Windows 23H2. This in and of itself is saving us a bunch of time. Not to mention resolving all of these potential issues due to the regional and language options that were selected. But it will leave us without the RGB software when it's all said and done. So what? I mean, again, I'm sure when you reach out to Blackview, they'll provide it. But it should be something we can go and download if we have the knowledge and the willpower. If we're willing and we're able, there's no reason for them to not have that on their website. I don't know the reason why it's not there. Again, this unit has been out for at least 2 years. So you haven't gotten around to it yet, Blackview? What's going on over there? Unacceptable. We appreciate the folks at Blackview. We like the folks at Blackview. I want to be clear. But the rules apply to all of us. It doesn't matter if I like you or I don't like you. I expect you to follow the rules, the industry standards in this case. And I'm not going to say you're exempt from following industry standards. Nobody is exempt. If you're a professional company selling to consumers, it is inferred and implied that you will follow all the same procedures and processes as all your competitors, or do better than that. And if you fall short on that, no matter how much I like you, no matter how much I might think your quality, the product quality is good, that doesn't make you exempt from not playing by the same rules. The rules don't apply to me. Yes, they do. But you like me. I do like you. And the rules still apply to you whether I like you or not. Just so we're clear. I'm not beating up on you. I'm not picking on you. I'm not bullying you. I'm not holding you up to a higher standard than anybody else. I'm expecting you to be at the same standard. I don't expect anything better than that. Now, if you deliver above and beyond that, that's great. But if you deliver anything less than that, then you either get up to speed or put a big disclaimer that says you're not going to do that. Make it very available to anybody that's going to purchase your product not to expect the industry standard from you. At least be honest. If you have no intention of doing it, let your customers know. Then your customers can make an informed decision if they care. Is that so much to ask? Just be honest. Gerhard Huff mentioning an alternative to the recovery method would be to hold the shift key while executing a restart. I have tried that so many times, Gerhard, and it doesn't work for me. And I don't know why, and I'm live on video, and I just have to keep waiting for the restart to finish before I do it again, and we're restarting 4 and 5 times, and now we're at 10 minutes on a live broadcast, and you know what? It's just not something I can count on, for me personally. If it works for you, if it works for others, I think it's great. It's not that I don't know about it. It just doesn't work reliably for me, and I don't know why, and I don't care. We are live, and I'm trying to get through it as quickly as possible. And as quickly as possible today is 2 hours and 15 minutes, and we're not done yet. But I appreciate the information. But there's a reason why I don't do it. Sometimes the best thing is to ask me, is there any reason why you don't do that? But either way, I mean, I understand it's the information may not have been intended for me. You might have been intending that for others. Aaron Mitchell joins us, says hello. Welcome in, Aaron. Aaron? Eric said he'd use a Acronis Trimage to wipe the to back up the computer before cloning. Well, I need to start all over. Eric said he would back up a full image using Acronis before wiping this. Yeah, you could totally do that. There's also built-in Windows imaging software in the control panel. It's free. And there's other free utilities that you can use. There's nothing on here I want. So I work as a professional technician, so I don't need to have all these little crutches and safety nets unless this is a live machine that a customer's been using and the customer's got data on it. I will make sure that there's a backup on it before I change anything, even though preventing customers' data from being erased is not my job. And you will never find any IT repair shop that will promise that they can get your data back or prevent your data from getting lost. Every single computer repair shop will have a piece of paper on the wall or a sign that says, you're responsible for your data. We're just here to fix your computer. And we're going to fix it as quickly and cheaply as possible, which often means we're going to wipe it out and reinstall it. Whatever you had on there, we're not responsible for. No company in the world would take responsibility for priceless, irreplaceable data, because how could you replace it or compensate them when there's no way to put a value on it? So it's up to each individual user to back their data up. That being said, I go above and beyond, and I would create an Acronis Trimage myself when working on a pre-existing customer computer. But if the computer's brand new and it's never been used, I can't see any reason why I'd back that up, especially when the installer is bad. In my opinion, it falls far below my expectations. And that would be a complete waste of space on my backup drive. From my perspective, it'd be like, I want to save this expired food. I mean, maybe as compost in the garden or something, but yeah, I'm not going to turn that into food. It's gone, it's perished. I'll buy some new bananas, I'll buy some new apples. But that's just me. I don't think there's anything worth saving on there. Nothing I want back under any circumstance. All right. But that's just my attitude. Again, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving you my view of it. Now, let's go through our out-of-box experience this time and see if it's more normal, unmodified. Okay, United States is the right region. This comes up correctly. United States is the right keyboard option. That also comes up correctly. Skip a secondary layout. We do not have any internet, so I'll say I don't have internet. And I'll put the username of user, enter, blank password with enter, and my privacy settings that I don't recall seeing first go around are all there the way they're supposed to be, with my location settings on so my date and time can always be updated when the clock gets out of sync, or daylight saving time. I don't have to manually adjust anything. We're long past the days of a blinking 12 on your VCR. The system will take care of itself if you're not a paranoid schizophrenic who thinks everybody's watching you. We don't even know who you are, man. Even if we were watching you, we don't know who we're watching. So who cares? Hey, did you hear what Bob Jones did the other day? No, what did Bob Jones do? Oh, the most embarrassing thing ever. Really? Yeah. Who's Bob Jones? Who cares? If you don't know who he is, what do you care? You don't. All right, enough of that. I'm gonna go ahead and unplug my Windows 11 flash drive right now, since we're waiting here for the finalization for the desktop to appear. And then while we're waiting, let me come back over to camera 1 for a second. So I've got my Windows 11 flash drive unplugged. Got my utilities flash drive that I put our drivers on. I'm going to put that in next. And I'm going to show you how easy this is. It's so easy. No third-party software. This isn't the past. We're living in the present. You're welcome to join us if you want to. If you want to stay in the past and you still want to use driver software, enjoy that. You'll be behind us. You're definitely not leading the way. But we would appreciate, and you'd be welcome to join us as we all move forward together. All right, so let's get back over here. And as you can see, the shaded out start menu items. So the minute that I plug in my network connection, which I can also do now, by the way, assuming the network card driver is loaded, when I plug this in and we come back over here, you might see the start menu icons populate. So we'll give that a second as it communicates with the router. Yes, and that in fact just happened. Now, I don't have to copy the drivers, but there's no reason for me to keep these drivers on a flash drive since they won't work with any other computers. So I'll right click and I'll do a cut. I'll go to my downloads folder and I'm just going to paste them here locally so they're always part of the machine unless somebody deletes them. Again, it's a fast flash drive, so moving this 1.5 gigs is really not a big deal. I would like my resolution, I don't know why that started, I would like my resolution to be 1080 instead of 4K. So let me go back to a normal desktop first of all. Microsoft Outlook requires, I don't know why that started, I might have clicked something. So we'll assume I just clicked something there. Let's go to display settings and see if we can drop this resolution to something. No, so the video driver is not in there yet, but we're about to fix that when we load all those drivers. So in 4K mode, I'll just have to squint. Right click on the start button, click device manager, and you're gonna see a bunch of stuff in there with the exclamation points. Actually, only a couple things. And our display driver is just gonna be a generic Microsoft one. So that's why we can't change the resolution. It's just almost like a safe mode kind of driver. But you'll notice when I first open this, let me close it and show you again. Right click, device manager. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 icons right up here. But the minute I click on any individual item, watch this row up here. Just click anything and look what happened. We just got a bunch more options. And the second one from the end is adding drivers. What drivers? Any drivers. Which drivers? Any drivers. Where? Wherever you point it to. How many? As many as you got. One click. Oh, where do we want it to look? In the drivers folder that we just copied into the downloads. So downloads. Oh, there goes a video driver right there. See how the screen went black? That's because Windows updates are running in the background. It has nothing to do with anything I just clicked. And now that the video driver installed, video came back. So because I have it plugged into the network, it's downloading updates right now. Anyway, so we've selected the downloads folder and the drivers folder. That's it. Don't select any of these. Click OK, and it'll start. It's like a truffle finding hound or a truffle finding pig. You've pointed it to the tree you want it to dig near, and it's going to use its nose and dig around and find those truffles. So it's looking in that specific drivers folder for literally any driver in that folder that may apply to any device in the device manager. You don't have to install them one by one the way many content creators show you, because they have ritualized the repair. They don't understand it. They ritualize it. They say, I don't know why this works, but if you follow this step and wave your hands in the air and chant and spin around in a counterclockwise circle, it'll always do this. And that's why I call it ritualizing. They don't understand, because if they did understand, they'd know they're doing it the hard way. But they don't know they're doing it the hard way because it works. And that's the only way they know that works. So therefore, that's the right way. This is the internet. And this is what content creators do, because they're mostly enthusiasts. Now, just because they're doing it the hard way doesn't mean they're doing it wrong. But you don't have to work that hard. Knowledge is power. And those of us who understand what's happening can explain to you why. Those of us who don't cannot explain to you why. They just go, all I know is if you follow this step and that step, you'll get this result, but they don't know why. It'd be nice if they said that out loud, but you can kind of glean that based on their lack of explanation. They simply don't explain it because they can't. All right, so this is all done. We hit close, and we're going to need to restart the computer for those changes to take effect, keeping in mind we are still downloading updates in the background automatically. So depending on how long you've waited and how fast your internet is, you might get a screen popping up saying updates are applying, and you're like, what updates? I didn't select to install any. Too bad, you don't have to. Now, when this restarts, everything in the device manager should be happy. We should be able to change our resolution, and everything but the RGB software is put back. And you notice we only have the recycle bin and Microsoft Edge. We don't have the control panel. We don't have My PC. Those are customizations for the end user to apply, not for the manufacturer to apply. Let's go to right-click on the Start button, go back to the device manager, see if everything's happy. Everything's happy. What a shocker. Okay, now, what about changing my resolution? Can I drop it to 1080 now? Display settings? Yes, it's not shaded out anymore. Look at that. 1920 by 1080. Boom. Save changes. Now, this would be the out-of-box default configuration that, in my opinion, this computer should have arrived with. Then we continue on by going to Settings and Windows Update, but we won't have as many updates waiting. And I'll turn the same options on as I did before. Here and under Advanced Options, we have 0 drivers here, but I turn this one on, I turn this one on, and I turn this one on. These are my personal preferences. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do anything you don't want to. Ask me if I care. Now, with this downloading and installing, I can also show you that we don't have 23H2 anymore. If we go back to our system properties, everything is the same as it was, except to run 24H2, so we don't have to go through that grueling download and installation process. And we've got a clean install versus an upgrade, which is always preferred. If you have the choice, clean install is always better. There's less detritus, there's less disk cleanup, there's less extraneous upgrade excess, I suppose. It's sort of like when you squish too much thermal compound down and it all oozes out the sides. It's kind of like what an upgrade does with all your old Windows files and such. Your registry settings, all of that isn't necessarily harmful, but it's not good for you. So a clean install will always be the leanest and meanest, always. That doesn't mean an upgrade's bad, But if given a choice between a clean install and an upgrade, if it's all the same to you, like on a brand new machine you haven't even configured, do the clean install. But if you don't want to have to reinstall your programs and you got a lot of data and it's a lot of work, then do the upgrade. Okay? It's not a one size fits all. It's based on the scenario. And I think that's going to wrap it up. We're at 2.5 hours. It's 3:30 here in Phoenix. And that's about as far as we can take it for today. We'll let you know what Blackview says with regards to where's the drivers, even though we've already got them, and where's the RGB software. We'll let you know what they say. We'll also update our video notes. If there is a link to download those, we'll provide them to you. As of this moment, I cannot recommend this computer unless you're okay with all of these things, because that's not industry standard. None of that's industry standard. The install's weird. The lack of drivers is weird. The pricing is still really good pricing, and it still appears to be a very well-made unit. But at that price, the competition's so tight, you might be able to spend the same amount for something equivalent or better and not have to do all these extra steps or have to try and find drivers and RGB software. Okay, just for full disclosure. That doesn't make the unit bad. Definitely could be a lot more standardized. I want to thank the folks at Blackview for sending it to us. For us to do a live review, you have to understand, most companies, they don't want live reviews. They want to address all this first, give us time to correct it, provide us the drivers, fix the website, get all that done, have us update the video accordingly, send it to them again so they can watch it, make sure it's all right now, and then re-release it. That's what most tech channels do. If they're not live, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You only get to see the end result. And they may not tell you that that video had to be pre-approved. Most don't. They're not required to. So what you're watching is often carefully scripted and controlled content to convey a very specific image that they have contrived and manipulated. I'm keeping it all real. It doesn't scare me to keep it real. There's nothing horrible here. There's no fear-mongering. Nobody's ripping anybody off. They've fallen a little short of expectation with industry standard. It's something they may easily choose to correct, or they may choose to ignore it. It's their company. They're allowed to do it any way they want to, and I'm just being open and honest about it. My goal is that if they follow the industry standard and they provide us the drivers and the RGB software on the support side of the website where they should be, that we could proudly recommend this, and it will get them more customers, and it's not there to put them down. It's there to lift them up. But they have to want to lift. They have to. It requires their cooperation. And I can't guarantee what their response will be. But I always assume it's an innocent oversight and it will be corrected until I'm proven otherwise. And once I know one way or the other, I'll follow up and let you know, and we will update the video notes of this video. So if you missed the follow-up, just check the video notes and see if that's been added there if you're curious. And that's going to wrap it up for me for today. Thank you, of course, to Mara for all the work she does on our thumbnails and video descriptions and the back and forth with the vendors, who make these offers, and very much appreciate that Blackview sent this to us for review. They're this close from having a highly recommended machine. We can come back and test this again when we have the RGB software if you guys are interested. What numbers we get on Crystal Dismark, what numbers we get on Cinebench, that's another hour video at a minimum. So we're not going to do it today. We may not even do it at all, because if you're that demanding, you probably don't want to be looking at a cheap computer, an inexpensive computer. If you're that demanding about your temperatures and your performance, you should be opening your wallet about 3 times larger than this. Otherwise, I think you're just you're looking a gift horse in the mouth. If somebody's giving you a horse and you want to check and see its mouth to see if it's healthy, it's rude. It's a gift. Either accept it or don't accept it. Well, before you give me a gift, let me just check and see if that gift is worthy of me accepting. It's very offensive. So have reasonable expectations and you'll be a happy customer. I think reasonable expectations includes an operating system that's standard and drivers and RGB software that are on the website. Other than that, this meets reasonable expectations. That's not to say that we wouldn't do the Cinebench R23 and run the temperature test, but it does feel a little like looking a gift horse in the mouth at this point, because at this price point, how can beggars be choosers? How can you spend so little and yet expect so much and still call yourself reasonable? But it's really a question of what you guys want to see. If you guys want to see it, we'll do it. Okay? I'm not opposed to it. I just think it's a little ridiculous to expect that from this. I don't know. At that price? Really? I mean, I'm sure it'll be fine, but nonetheless. Just sharing my perspective with you. Not saying you're wrong. Gerhard wants to know, is there a way to use PayPal for a super chat? So in the video description, below this video and every video, I think there are links for that, aren't there? Mara usually includes everything in our video notes. Let me take a quick look. Yeah, it's all there. I'm looking right at it. So I strongly recommend you guys read video notes. Not just for myself, but all content creators. We almost all use these video notes, and yet over and over we get customers, we get viewers who keep asking us the questions that were put in the video notes so they didn't have to ask us the questions. So as just a gentle reminder, please always look at the video notes first, because otherwise you may just be asking me to copy and paste an answer to you personally that's been there for you to click on yourself. And we'll do that if we have to. But Amazon gift cards, PayPal links, membership links, all of that is in the video notes, as it should be on every video I ever make. We don't do it on the members only videos. We don't put any of that in the members only videos, just so you know. Okay, well listen, thank you so much, and thank you for asking, Gerhard. We certainly appreciate you being a member and supporting us. Johnny Welds says, great job. Thank you for your... Thank you every time you're on. Oh, well, I love it. Great job, my friend. Thank you, Johnny Well. And he said an update would be very welcome. Oh, I do intend to update this for sure. I'm just saying the whole Cinebench thing. Crystal Disk Mark's not a big deal, but Cinebench is a 25, 30-minute test when it's all said and done to test extreme use case scenarios that this isn't designed to do. At a budget that it shouldn't be used for that, but doesn't mean you can't. I mean, I could eat this shirt. I shouldn't, but there's nothing stopping me if I want to just start chewing on my shirt and ingesting it. I'm sure I'll be fine. It's probably not a good idea. There's what you can do, and there's what you should do. But regardless, we will follow up. Garrett said, sorry for asking. YouTube asked for my credit card number. So I don't apologize for asking. I appreciate your questions. It's just a gentle reminder, a little nudge to go, you know, take a glance over there. That's why we put it there. But, you know, again, we appreciate the question. We appreciate the support. Make no mistake about it. I'm not chewing you out. I'm not putting you down. Providing you information. Teaching a man to fish. All right. And again, thank you to all the members, everybody in green, including Gerhard Huff. We appreciate you very much. And thank you for enabling me to continue to be an independent reviewer so I can talk to you the same way I talk to my real customers. I'm this honest with them, and I'm this honest with you. There's no other side to me. Some people don't like that. Well, that's fine. They don't have to. For those of you who appreciate that transparency and honesty, we wouldn't do this without you. So we thank you for helping us to maintain our independence so we cannot be muzzled or silenced from a big corporation holding a paycheck over our head. You are the ones controlling that. And without you, well, we probably wouldn't exist, and all you'd have are basically commercials on YouTube, because a lot of reviews you're seeing are nothing more than paid commercials disguised as reviews. There's always exceptions, but overall it's an abundance. And now the AI slop adding to that, boy oh boy, this kind of content is getting rarer and rarer. And for me, this is what I want to see on YouTube, and this is why I make it. Because I said, you know, somebody should be honest and transparent. And then it occurs to me, I'm somebody. And here we are. And again, without you, there'd be nobody for me to do this for. So thank you for enabling me to do it, and thank you for sharing an interest in an unbiased view, whether it's right or wrong, whether you agree with it or disagree with it. It is my truth. It is my standards based on a professional expectation that I know my customers expect from me. And I just pass that off to you guys the same way. All right. Thanks to Buster and Mark Gaines for your contributions earlier. And again, thanks for everybody hanging out with us today, whether you're a member or not. We appreciate you being a part of this community and interacting, not only with myself, but with each other. We love having all of you here. We hope you'll come back again. On Sunday, I should be live at 1 o'clock with that whole Windows 10 Extended Security update, forcing that option. If you have a Windows 10 computer and you have all the latest updates installed, and when you go to Windows Update, the option to enroll in Extended Security updates, it's just not appearing for you, this video will show you how to make that appear, okay? Or at least explain why it's not. If your system, for some reason, is not eligible, at least you'll know why. That's going to wrap it up for me for today. Thank you all for hanging out. Enjoy your Friday. We have a great weekend coming up here. Every weekend is a great weekend because it's the weekend. I'll see you on Sunday. Until next time, bye for now.